Hello and welcome back. Welcome to Story Time on RuneScape.
La la la.
So I have here on the couch many mods. I'm going to go out and say this is the most mods we've had on the couch.
No.
Combat Council.
Ah, those guys had to stand behind.
And what about Game Blast last year?
And
Yeah,
but
that's
that was, that was a lot. Okay, so we've had several more mods than this, but we're doing good. I'm going to go from our good friend Ash over there on the side, and we'll whip round. I'll let you introduce yourselves, because I'm definitely going to get one wrong.
Hey, I'm Ash.
Yay!
I work on Old School Runescape as a content developer.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I'm Matt Kay. I work on Old School Runescape too as product manager.
I'm Maylea. I'm a RuneScape ninja.
I'm still Ian Gower. Hello. I'm Paul Gower. Hello. I'm Andrew Gower.
I'm Mod Mark, design director for RuneScape.
Hey, thank you everybody. So we're doing story time with everybody here, and it's just a chance for us to reminisce about the past 15 years of building what's now a absolutely massive, incredibly popular game. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the glitter on your head, not
No,
sweat.
it's glitter.
Glitter on your head.
Someone's glitter bombs me. Well, there we go. There's a new story for
So there we go. 15 years. Tell you what. Oh, what's your most memorable moment in the past many years?
Oh, no, that's crazy. The memory that always sticks in my head is the jolly that we went on into the Lake District, which was like the first time we kind of took the whole team out. There was maybe about 28 of us then, so tiny compared to what we are
How
now.
How many of you were there? So that I'm guessing.
I was there.
Yeah.
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 You do a roll call?
No, that was pre-Ash. So it was
Yeah.
definitely
Pre-me.
us four.
Yeah.
Pre-you.
Pre-me, yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So really
Okay, that's pretty early.
I have this memory of Constant and Ian crawling across a flat
me.
roof, trying to do something.
A completely different Ian.
Different Ian, yeah. Staff member, non-Gower staff member number one, Ian, Mod Ian. They were crawling across a flat roof. I was in customer support at the time, and I thought it would be funny just to fill a pint glass full of water and chuck it at them. And they were stressed out for the next 2 days that they thought it was the hotel owner or something like that was telling them to get off the roof. And I don't know why that moment has just stuck in my head. But
And
it was
now they know it was you.
It's true. It was a crazy trip because we just went off to celebrate, and we were like on power boats.
What was
in
that
the river
milestone?
It was a nice round number of
It
members,
was,
I think.
what, 25,000?
I think it was
The
25,000.
Johnnies were crazy early on because we set out this sort of chart of number of members and what we would do to celebrate each number, and we sort of based it on how fast the members were going up at the time. So we're like, we'll do something exciting every 5,000 members, I think it was.
2,500.
Was it 2,500 originally?
Yeah.
And then the number of members went up far faster than we expected.
Yeah.
And we got to the point where we were doing something every single week.
It was the launch of RS2, did it? When we had RuneScape Classic, we were going up about 500 members a week, so you got maybe a jolly sort of slightly less once a month. Then we released RuneScape 2, and we were going up thousands a week. And it's like we're hitting these faster than we can
We'd already
physically go.
promised all the staff that these are the milestones and these are the things we're going to do. And then they were like, oh.
We wanted to make the game a bit as well.
I didn't even realise it until one of the guys we just recruited sort of mentioned to me, like, a couple of months after starting, he said, I haven't actually done a full week's work yet. And I was like,
We had them stacked up. Like I remember Constant coming in with a brown paper envelope full of cash because everyone had just decided that we would just pay the staff some money rather than start cashing in these jollies, because it was like Andrew said, we were actually losing quite a lot of work time.
He literally had a brown envelope.
He did, a massive
he
brown
bought it
envelope.
on the train as well. He went to the bank and he took out all this money. It was quite a lot.
They were 50s,
It was in
weren't they?
50s, yeah.
And he must have had several £1,000s in like a briefcase on the train. It's just like,
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good that my third day of work was a nice trip to the Norfolk Broads to drive a boat around. Like,
Did you
this
say?
was a job I was enjoying.
You say that my first week we went to Tenerife.
Okay. That was fun.
Tenerife was a good one, wasn't it? I remember leaning back in Tenerife and just thinking, man, we've proper made it now, because there was this massive party that they laid on, and there were all those like rugs on the beach, and like it was dancing girls and swimming pools, and we were like, man, this is crazy.
I think all the jollies you can say were most memorable.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that was actually a swimming pool. They told us not to go in
They
there.
did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but that's like red rag to a bull, right?
Yes,
For a
it
bunch
was
of
that.
people in a
Didn't
foreign
stop
country drinking a lot of booze. Don't do that, right? Let's do that thing right now.
So in terms of content updates, trying to rewind this back to the game. I'm sorry, we'll reminisce again in a minute. What update do you think really shone out for you guys? Anybody? Nobody remembers anything other than RuneScape 2? What?
Yeah,
I've already
done
asked
that.
you 3.
And my favourite one, I think, and it was really recent, was Dead Man mode, especially the launch of it, because we launched it, and 30 seconds later we went, Phil, we need more servers. So we filled up. We planned 3 servers. 6,000 people on launch. We thought was adequate. There'd be plenty of people. No, we had 10 servers by the end of the day because it just filled up 30 seconds, everything full. It's like, I think we did good there.
It was that's a marked difference from we were like, oh no, it's gone over. We'll just turn on more worlds from the original Star Wars. Like, oh no, it's gone over. All the worlds are falling over.
Yes.
So it's amazing the amount of time can change.
But yeah,
that was a great.
You sit there and you think, I mean, it blew us out of the water. People, we thought it was a good, fun thing to do, and it sounded quite. So I don't know if you know about Dead Man mode.
No, I do.
Oh, fantastic, good. I'm sure the players do. Oh, that's good. We thought it'd be fun. Thought it'd be good. It's something I've always wanted to play. When I first started playing in 2004, when I first started. My wife's fault. I used to play. So she started playing, and said, "Can play this game with me?" So I started playing the game, and I've actually applied for a job here before I didn't get it.
You're never going to let that one lie.
She's hated me ever since. So it's not I always wanted to play, and we finally did it. And you did most of the work for it, didn't you? It was a huge effort to get it up and running. And once it was up, it filled up straight away, and we're like, well, that was worthwhile doing it then. And it's been nuts. Went absolutely nuts, didn't it? That's my best memory, I think. And it is really recent, which is a bit of a shame.
That's fair. I mean, we've got a lot of history in what's after happening. Ash, what?
I think the most memorable thing I've done was the night I fixed the Falador massacre. Certainly in terms of things people are going to remember, they're going to remember that. And it was also my first emergency call out.
That was the beginning of emergency.
The phone call began with, "Hi, is that Ash? You said you might be willing to do emergency work. Well, we've decided to go ahead with that plan. Are you doing anything at the moment?" This being 2 in the morning, I wasn't doing anything at the moment. So, sleeping? Well, sort of.
He doesn't sleep. Come on.
He waits.
I wasn't playing RuneScape at that time, but no, that was a fun evening. I think it being my first hotfix without Andrew in the building to supervise the process, I was a bit more nervous than usual because I didn't have the expertise on hand. But we got it out there and
did your job.
It fixed the thing, stopped people doing it. It also stopped them using the PvP mode of the houses at all, but we figured that was all right for the night.
Yeah.
Whatever it was they got them into this state, let's just take the thing out and look at it in the morning when the developer's back who wrote it. And job done. And I don't think anyone's going to forget that incident.
Yeah, I was in CM working that night when it happened as well, and we got people started saying on the forum someone's killing people in Falador, and we're like, that's rubbish, just players being players. It's fine. And it just kept on going and going and going. Let's go and have a look. I was like, we need to do something now.
For me, my favourite piece of content that we've ever done is Dungeoneering, because I think for me it was a real kind of nod to our kind of beginnings. Like, we're all role players, right? We've played traditional role-playing games, and that kind of idea of 5 people in a dungeon working together, creating items, fighting the final boss, moving on. It was very akin to those early kind of role-play experiences that we had, and so actually kind of exactly. And so putting that content in the game, and we in the early days we talked about producing something where when players logged into the game and they were like, what shall I do next? It always like, well, I could go and do a dungeon. And like, it added something to the game that I always felt was missing. And yeah, it was the most rewarding thing that we worked on. And it's really interesting. It's the kind of polar divide for the players. Like, Dungeoneering seems to be either the most hated skill or the most loved skill, depending on the type of player that you talk to and what time they started. So yeah, it's a real kind of divider.
I suppose, there's a few you're a good person. How you found the difference between when you first started working at Jagex and how it's now, like the different things that have happened and the journey we've gone through from being a very, very, a 3-man company.
When I first started working at Jagex, I was there in my bedroom and I wasn't in an office at all. And there wasn't any
quite
staff
different.
around me. It was really different, yes.
And now we have
Just having an office was a massive improvement.
Someplace to get to and go to.
These days the office is absolutely huge, and it even has a special room for doing live streams from, which is something which wasn't here when we were working here.
When we very first started off, Andrew was in Cambridge and me and Paul were in Nottingham, so a lot of it was sort of sending assets backwards and forwards via email and trying to figure it all out that way. So.
That did make it difficult.
Yeah.
I think in the early days, like it never really felt like a company. Just felt like a bunch of like people making games because they were gamers and they loved making games. Like and like the bigger we got, the more it felt like a company, and like there was more. It was like we were more responsible for the players and responsible for hundreds of staff that were working for us. And you know, and we talk about it a lot in the documentary. You know, you have that feeling like you kind of lost contact with the players a lot because we started thinking about the game in a completely different way, and so we kind of went away from those kind of indie grassroots into this kind of feeling like a company. But actually in the last couple of years I feel like it's come back with Old School and things like these live streams. Like it's really kind of changed. So like that was the biggest change for me, but now I feel like everyone's a lot happier because we're back to that kind of real connection with our community again.
I think early on we had the sort of startup feel where it was a small group of us, and we've sort of gone back to that now. We've got sort of smaller sub-teams, and you know, they each work on their own projects. And so we do have a bit more that, you know, what everyone in your own team's doing, that sort of feel. There was a sort of growing process as the company got bigger, as you say, which was quite difficult. But also, as you mentioned, the community focus, and now we're doing a lot more with streaming and interacting directly with the players, which was, again, something we did at the start because we had to go in-game to get the feedback on what was happening.
Yes, I really like getting feedback from players. There was a point when there were people saying to me, well, you're spending so much time talking to the players, we need to be getting weekly updates out, and you need to be reviewing all the content which all these different developers are doing, and it's like, well, that means that I can't get a feel for what the players want at the same time as I can be.
It's certainly a lot more satisfying to do something and see the players like it, rather than doing something and having a middle manager tell you, good boy, you did what I told you to. I like the old school setup because we're quite small. We don't have dedicated designers whose job necessarily is to tell developers what to program. We all work with the community to identify what we should be programming, and we all take it in turns to be the designer ourselves. So I've developed things designed by our artists, I've developed things designed by Matt, I've developed things designed by me. And we all talk to the community about what we're going to design and implement next.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's changed. Like, out of everyone here, I'm definitely the junior guy over in the corner. But even the past kind of 5 years or so, we've gone from something where it was a large, very corporate feel, like very kind of nebulous group, and we've gone from that to more of, we broke it all back down. Teams like the old school team, and even within the RuneScape, like the RuneScape 3 group, that's cut itself up into different sections and allowed them to be more integrated, and we're pushing that all the way back down to the developers, and from the developers back to the players. I think it's making a big difference.
I mean, with the social medias and stuff, we're really in touch now with the community. I mean, you know, there's Twitter, there's Facebook. We actually talk, we listen. There's RuneFest. We get to meet the player face to face. That's something that's quite recent. That's quite good, you know.
There was one weird time when a manager in charge of content developers seriously gave the instruction, content developers are currently posting on the forums. You must stop doing this. It may lead to miscommunications. Anything you want to say to the players, you will bring to me, and if I deem it necessary, I will send it to the web team, who will put into appropriate text to avoid miscommunications, and then it will be communicated to the players in an appropriate way at an appropriate time.
I'll be honest. There have been occasions where I wish that had happened.
Sometimes things get said, right?
Some things are said. Still, you'd never actually want it to happen.
No.
We've all said things, but I know I have. On the other hand, having a rule that developers are not allowed to communicate with players is probably not wise.
No, a little bit crazy. So I like the RuneFest thing. What's everyone's favourite RuneFest? Who's been to all of them?
I missed one.
I missed too many.
I've missed loads. I'm way out.
The first one was just amazing. Like we just didn't know it was going to work. You know, it was really kind of fingers crossed. Like even to a point, right, where we gave everyone their money back because we were stressed out. We're like, we're not sure it's going to like cut the mustard. And you know, none of us are like presenters or like, you know, none of us.
You're selling yourself short.
Well, I love standing up and talking about RuneScape, and giving me a platform to do that was fantastic. But also, I like having the opportunity to talk about the early days, and more importantly, like going out and meeting the players and talking to them about what our plans were. We just didn't know if people would come. But you know, if you build it, they will come, and it was like you can't compare that to anything else, because we've learned so much along the way, and there are things we do differently now that we tried to do then, and you know, there were all sorts of things that we learned as a company, like footfall through an event, right? No one would think, oh, this is something you need to know about, but that first site was no good for us because there was one lobby area where everyone would just get stuck, and it was not good. So then the next time we go and look at a site, it's like, no, we can't use this because they're going to be coming out from the presentations here and doing it. Anyway, like that first event was just amazing.
The first event was
like we worked so hard, and people didn't sleep for like 3 or 4 days setting up the event, and it was just
still happens.
Yeah, it was exhausting, but that buzz that you get from doing an event like that, and the knock-on effect, like to us as a company when we come back to work, being able to visualize the players that you're making the game for, and the fact that they're coming up to you and shaking your hand and say thank you very much, you changed my life, that's worth 1,000 thumbs up on a Facebook post, or you know, it's just absolutely amazing, like to have that kind of feedback from our players, and all the negativity that we get, and you know, it is the internet, like that is all just wiped out when you have a RuneFest, and it's just great.
I think that's a very fair point. It's the one thing that is very easy to do is forget that person moving that little character around on the screen is a real person with real feelings and everything else. And you know, RuneFest really helps sort of connect, help you remember that. And we've got a wall right behind where I sit, where every bit of correspondence we get from a player goes up on that wall. Yeah. So I can turn around at any time and think, right, these are real people talking to us, thanking us, Christmas cards from them. Yeah. You know, who love what we do, and it's, you know, it just makes you feel that there's, you know, an awful lot of responsibility on you to keep giving these players the game that they want to play, and you know, that's what we aim to do.
I find it also really sort of bring home the scale of the whole thing as well, because it's very easy to look at these numbers and sort of like, oh, this many million accounts, this many subscribers, and they're numbers you can't really think about. But then you go to RuneFest and you're meeting people from all these different countries who've travelled here to be at RuneFest, and it's just staggering.
You see the videos of the queue from the first RuneFest, which sort of goes down the street and round the corner and around another, and you sort of think all people who are like, half of whom have come like with RuneScape cosplays and
reality check.
It's great going outside before the RuneFest and just talking to the queue.
Work in the crowd.
Well, because they've got not much else to do apart from chat. We've got not much else to do until the event opens apart from chat, and it's a great time to chat.
We always have loads to do before the event.
One of my favourite RuneFest memories actually is with Ash, where we had a bunch of actors who were going to play characters from RuneScape, and there was this guy, classically trained English actor, clearly had been doing Shakespeare for like 40 years of his life. Incredibly well spoken, and he was going to get to play the wise old man. We'd written a whole load of stuff, bio stuff, so that they could understand the characters a little bit more. And he sort of came to me and was like, "What's my motivation for this character?" and I was like, "Ash." So I sat Ash down with this guy, and they were talking about the wise old man, and I'm like, and I get goosebumps just thinking about that. It's an absolutely amazing moment. Ash is a very well-spoken individual as well, so watching these two talking about the wise old man.
Proper conversation.
It was great.
What he actually said was, well, I'm not going to be able to remember that.
Yeah, because Ash was like, here's a load of information.
The name in question was Saradomin, but
yes,
he did get the idea that the wise old man likes runes, and he approached a lot of people over the course of the day, asking if they had any runes to put in his bag of runes. It was beautiful to see.
Yeah, it was
we
cool.
should have got a guy with a beard for preference.
Yeah. We should have done. Even the wise old man needs to shave though, maybe, who knows.
Did everybody think that when they started at Jagex they'd still be there this time afterwards, still working on RuneScape?
I'd be hoping. I certainly was hoping, because I really like my job. I really like doing this, creating content and just bringing things to life for people to enjoy. So
not a clue. I've now been working on this game effectively half my life. I didn't predict that when I was a teenager.
I joined as player support. I didn't even realise that Jagex was in Cambridge until we saw the advert in the local newspaper for jobs. And so, okay, I was working for a forklift truck importer at the time. He was importing trucks from China. It was fantastic. Got to drive 40-ton forklift trucks. It was great. Real man job. Anyway, and I was like, I'm going to pack that in. I'm going to do this, and if it's fun, it's fun, and we'll do something else in a few years' time. And 10 years later.
10 years later.
10 years later.
Still fun.
Still there. Yeah. Don't miss my forklifts.
Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
I mean, when me and Andrew launched the game, we thought it was going to be another game on the jagex.com site, and we'd like work on that for a year maybe, and then
the next game.
then we'd start working on another game instead. And I mean, not working on it anymore, but I worked on it for about 12 years, I believe. I worked 13 even.
It would have been, wouldn't it?
Because I started working on it in 2000 myself. Andrew's been working on it even before then.
Yes, I mean, when did we do Devious Mud? That was
99.
1999, yeah.
I didn't do much on Devious Mud.
No,
I drew a little hand-drawn map. The hand-drawn map you see of Devious Mud was my input. But
I had no idea that we would last this long, and my job's changed so much over the years as well. Like it's amazing the kind of stuff that I'm doing now that I never imagined that I would be doing when I first started for the company. So yeah, not in my wildest dreams could I imagine that I would get to work on the same game for 15 years. I mean, almost 14 years. 14?
Is it 14?
30? Almost 14 years for me now.
probably past the amount of time I worked on it.
Yeah, maybe. It is amazing that one game would last that long. Like all the other games you look at out there, they have a very short shelf life, and so the fact that we're still going, something special, right?
Coming from the outside and coming from games, you always go into development on a game, assuming you probably have 2 years, 3 if you're lucky, sitting on the same thing. Being like, so I'm only on 5, but even still, you never think you're going to be in the same title for 5 years. It's been special. It's definitely a special place. So, we'll flip it round and stop going teary-eyed and go, what was the most embarrassing thing that happened to you in Jagex? Wow,
this
no
one
one's
time I
Hey.
deployed a bug fix to the game that didn't quite go to plan, and it was meant to make haircuts free for a week. What it did was cause almost every NPC in the entire game to say, "Would you like a haircut?" and then kick you offline. That was just before you introduced the thing that stops hotfixes deploying if the script timestamp doesn't match. Yeah. Thank you for that.
One Christmas party, we did a pantomime and I
This
was
is going to be
persuaded
dangerous.
to be the RuneScape genie, and I had to go
Oh,
topless
God.
and paint myself blue.
I think that I persuaded you to do that, didn't I? Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. You can't be embarrassed about the pantos. They were
No.
so much fun.
No, no, no.
No, I missed them.
I really want to do one again this year. And rather than do it at the Christmas party, maybe we'll stream it. I'd love to do
Oh
that.
yeah, that would be
Brilliant.
awesome.
Live
I think
Yeah.
there's a
TV.
lot of people that are
It was-
interested in doing that again. So,
It was
and
so
I've
good.
written something which
Oh dear.
I kind of like. So
15th anniversary Panto?
yeah, it's built around Christmas Carol. So
Also, how many people could say they did a pantomime in King's College Chapel?
exact a blue pantomime as well. Yeah,
Yes.
that was pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, that was-
That was a mental one. That was so Cambridge University, King's College, King's College, which incidentally we are banned from, and we're not allowed to go back there because their banquet room. Someone like threw some potato on a picture or something like that. But anyway, wasn't good. So this was our first panto, and we were supposed to be doing it in the theatre there. And we got there, and they said, I said, we've got some stuff we need to take to the theatre, and the porter was like, "Oh, you can't go there; it's been condemned because they found asbestos, or they found asbestos in the ceiling, or something. Maybe that's wrong, but there was a problem with the ceiling, right?
I think it might have been a big flood or something.
Yes.
Or leak.
Yeah. So we couldn't use the theatre, and the bloke was like, "It's okay, you can use the chapel." Now, bearing in mind, I've lived in Cambridge most of my life. And I'm like, I could tell you the chapel. So I'm looking around the college for signs to the chapel. There were no signs to the chapel.
Really?
And I'm like, oh, that's a strange thing. So I went up to a porter. I'm like, where's this chapel I'm supposed to be going to? And he looks at me, and we're in front of these massive windows, right? He looks at me, and he looks out the windows like that. And I'm like, look out the window. I'm like, yeah, that's King's College Chapel, one of the most famous buildings in the world. And I'm like, yeah, that's the chapel. You mean the chapel, like proper, like,
Yeah, I think that looks
double
like a
take.
cathedral.
Yeah.
Like a huge thing.
So yeah, we did our blue panto while BBC was setting up for the chorister thing at the same time. So BBC trunk cables running through everything, and yeah, we also decided that year that next year we would do it with microphones because hardly anyone could hear us, apart from me because I have far too big a voice.
We can hear you anywhere in the building.
Yeah,
You know that, right?
Yeah. Anyway.
What was going on?
So, but those pantos were a lot of fun. We did some good stuff for those pantos.
So we do another one this year?
I'd love to, yeah. The vague thing that I've written is about Christmas Carol and RuneScape past, RuneScape present, RuneScape future.
Sounds lovely.
So we did that
Yeah,
there.
I think it works with the 15 years. So
Ash looks
we'll
shocked.
see.
I was actually worried about what the Christmas future might be in the context of the Christmas Carol.
And a slight RuneScape theme to it.
Yes, it's it writes itself, I'm sure.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah. This is no way an agreement that this is going to happen, by the way.
You've heard it here.
No
Soon, at some
confirmations
point,
of
maybe.
that's going to happen, but yeah, I'm going to try and do it.
I'll back you up. It'll be fine.
I introduced a bug into the chat filter, whereby everything everyone said got turned into a cabbage, and I swear it was an accident.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh,
As
I've
in the-
accidentally changed
There was a bit of error handling code around the chat filter, so if it crashed, it caught the error and just replaced the entire string with cabbage because it wasn't meant. And I thought, I put it there as a joke, thinking it would never ever actually get run. And then I actually broke it, and it happened, and it went live.
Never publish code you don't want to run.
That was a bit embarrassing.
I think the worst one I had was we had the October event called the Rebuildathon, and I wanted something to build over time and have like all the players contribute, and it broke in the first day and everything suddenly popped up completely built, and I was like, no!
Oh yeah. I remember
Because I
that.
completely
That was only
didn't.
like 2 or 3 years ago.
It
wasn't
was.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a big oops.
Oh, I did have. I was sitting inside sitting in a meeting with everybody, like all of the leads of all the different groups, and got a little message through, and it said, "Connor, were you playing around with shadow drakes?" I went, "Yeah." I was like, "Did you make a couple of mobs?" I went, "Yeah." She said, "Were they supposed to go live?" Absolutely not. I was just playing over in the corner. They're live in the game at the moment. We probably shouldn't have launched that. That was a fun meeting.
Oops.
I didn't do any cabbages though. No cabbages.
I did introduce the Vraska Prime incarnation back in 2009, based on that news post you wrote in 07. We were a bit short of ideas for the April Fool's event in 09, so we came up with something to do with cabbages. Like when you try to pick it could just run away. And while I was about it, I put down a cabbage with a kick option, and then the feedback was, do something nice if the player takes it to the other side of the world. No, do more than that. Do more than that. Do something bigger. Right, I'll spawn a god cabbage. See, is that big enough for you? That was big enough for them.
My favourite feedback to give to Ash is just more Ash.
Add more Ash.
A lot more. I need more Ash in this content, please. So, and I always got it back, so it's always good.
Thank you.
Aww, you guys are lovely. So, yeah, I'm starting to run out of questions and things here. I've used favorite memory, most embarrassing event, best content. What was the thing that you didn't work on that somebody else launched that you kind of wished you'd been part of? I mean, everybody in this team is really a part of everything, but like, what's the thing that came out?
Chosen Commander, quest by Mod John A. Playing through that, I thought, oh my god, I've been playing RuneScape for years, I've been writing for RuneScape for years, and now I know what a quest can be.
It was a fantastic piece of content. I would totally agree with that. And actually, I think it's probably worth saying, like, John Aliff, that's the guy who wrote it, and he's a published author now. Like, he's got an absolutely cracking book out there. Like, that's the plug. Like, he's a really good chap, and I'd love to see his work be as popular as it was when he was a RuneScape developer.
He left at like 9.5 years.
Yeah.
He was like
Yeah.
9.5 years, and he had that thing he wanted to go with, and like he ran with it.
Yeah, and
good move.
good luck to him.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of the best writing in the game is his. But I agree, and also Chosen Commander was quite a special thing for us because it's the first time we really finished a storyline as well. Like, I was like, come on, let's draw a line under one of these like tendrils of storytelling that we have
the
out there.
last time we finished a story.
No, we've done a few since.
Wait,
We
wait.
did the
We
dwarves.
finished the dwarves.
How many storylines? So myself and Davo were running through these. I'm trying to remember the number off the top of my head. How many storylines do you think we have? Anyone?
Ridiculous
17.
amount.
17?
Hang on, does it have anything to do with those bits of paper scattered all over that desk that I was looking at?
You know that? Remember, I took over all of that desk.
Yes.
That'll give you an idea of how many storylines there are. I took over 4 desks trying to figure out how many things we had.
It's more in the 40s, 50s then.
No, I reckon you're pretty close to 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
Storylines. We've
Yeah.
only got 200 quests. That will
Yeah.
mean an average of 2 quests per story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you counting single quests as a storyline?
No, I ignored
There's
those.
a quest line,
Quests which
basically.
have one and then
Like an
Must have
actual
at least
a
8
line
So
of
it's probably you'd have thought it would only be about something like 20 or
Yeah,
something.
a couple of dozen.
I say 30.
37. There are 37 storylines in RuneScape, and we're going to try and close some of them eventually.
Yeah, but you were just
the
counting the
gnomes,
main
please.
ones, you see. I bet you didn't have Hand in the Sand as like a
No, I
storyline.
have that as part of a different chunk. It's not a storyline.
The
itself.
like Head in the Shed
wait, you
is the
can't.
quest that I've always wanted to make, because Head in the Shed is clearly the sequel to Hand in the Sand. And why we haven't done that, I have no
I
idea.
said the Dimension of the Disaster, like the of Disaster series was going in at one point. Like, that's not a series of quests.
Yeah.
They just have the same. Oh, God.
But like developers would love to like put things in their quest to suggest that there might be a sequel, even though we'd be like, there's definitely no sequel to this quest ever. Like the Nomad quest is a really good example of that, where like the build that I had played until like the last build that I had played did not have Nomad get up and teleport away at the end. He was definitely dead.
Oh, no, we had plans for that.
But actually, well, not
had
at
to-
the
we
time.
had to get it past you.
Not at the time. But I'm really glad that they did that,
Yeah.
because actually Nomad's one of the most popular characters that there is
Spoilers,
out
he
there.
gets up at the end.
So yeah, I'm glad that I was ignored on that one.
Who hadn't finished it yet.
Yeah.
Okay, anything?
Clan stuff.
Clans?
Clan stuff. Since I used to run a clan before I joined here, so I've always loved the clan community, the whole PvP side of it, and Timbo worked with the developers to do the whole marketing side of the clan stuff, and I'd quite like to have been involved in that more, because clans are all very close to my heart. So I'd like to do more for that. I do like clans.
Somebody's going to kill me for saying this, but the Elemental Workshop.
Oh,
You like Elemental Workshop?
I love it.
Awesome.
To bits.
really,
Seriously.
I think if Dungeoneering is something that divides people, then Elemental Workshop has to be
It's not as bad as what's
No.
my favourite.
Elemental Workshop Part 4 is the killer.
No, jeez.
Oh,
I really
I
like
just-
the Elemental Workshop quests as
I,
well.
I love them. They're just awesome. And I was
Wait a
like,
second,
oh.
we're the only one who had no fun.
No, so that,
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't get past 3.
Yeah,
I got
no,
to
I
that
lost-
puzzle with the
yeah.
Mahjong type thing. I was like, do
I
something
like
else.
those sorts of puzzles, but it
Oh,
depends if
okay.
you
Wait,
like
yeah,
those
no, I mean,
puzzles or
like,
not, but-
I can't take it away from the people who love those things. But
Wait, I know,
I'm out.
I'm a minority, I know, but it's really like.
No,
Yeah,
there's not-
you know,
Yeah, you've got minority on
Well,
the
okay,
scale,
but then
no, I mean, so Mod Dylan, the guy who did Elemental Workshop, the initial series, John did the last part, didn't he?
I think
seem
so.
to remember.
Yeah.
He never considered himself a storyteller, and he never really considered himself to be someone who wrote good dialogue. And his initial trial here was a puzzle that he made rather than a piece of quest, traditional storytelling. And that is actually what Elemental Workshop is like a kind of full version of his original trial that he did here. And the reason why he did that was because, and I don't think he's going to kill me for saying this, is he's a little bit dyslexic. So he didn't want to do lots of writing because then people would identify the fact that he couldn't spell very well. So that's why he did a puzzle. And actually, I think there's plenty of room in a game like RuneScape for just puzzles.
yeah, oh yeah.
For sure.
And then
His
there's the
storyline
sample
writing
of
wasn't
Wait,
actually
No,
bad either.
no.
Oh, yeah.
He
I
did
love
the Morning's End.
Yeah, the
well,
Yeah.
Morning's End quest, yeah.
And obviously, if you can't spell, we've got people in the
Exactly.
who can correct your spelling.
Yeah,
so-
lots
And
of
it's
decent
spell check.
editors.
That's what spell check is for.
Yeah,
Mm.
not in the script though.
No, we've
There's no spell
solved
check
that
in the
problem too.
script.
No, that's what I'm here for.
Tear it all out, check and push it back in.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the thing I would like to work on is the thing you're doing now, actually, because obviously I'm not there anymore. Looking at what you're doing with the NXT client, and that was my area, working on the engine, and what you're doing with the NXT client is so where I wanted to take things myself. It's really exciting to see it, but I sort of wish I was working.
I'll be recruiting at the moment.
What?
I'll be recruiting at the moment.
You know what? We'll have you back.
I don't know. No, absolutely no more developers. All I know is that if you add a developer to a project when it's midway through, they'll think of 50 other things that they want to do
Well,
and
you
extend the
wouldn't
time.
want me, you wouldn't want to have me.
Yeah, we'll wait for that.
You know what I'm like.
Have you read his Twitter feed about what he's working on currently? It's always like, oh, we've got more ways to improve it.
Yeah. Like, there's like a rule: never, ever read what you've done before because you just want to change it. Just get it out the door.
Or never ask a perfectionist if they think it's done.
Yeah, everyone's a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So it's a minorly controversial one. I think the thing that I would have loved to have been more involved with was the TLI rework from the technical standpoint. Like the amount of stuff that Mod Z did with the existing interface system to allow it to tear itself apart, resize it, position itself based on screens. There was a lot of stuff went into that, and then also trying to unify it to make it easier for other developers to plug into. It was a lot of work went into that thing. It was very tough to try and get it out the door.
Good result though.
I'm going to say dungeoneering. We've had a lot of praise from dungeoneering on the sofa, but I wasn't really much involved in dungeoneering beyond a little bit of input into the initial concept, that they managed to execute it very well and make a lot of variety and a lot of different things go on in the dungeon as far as I was concerned.
It was just launched before I joined, I think. I think that was the remember it was Dungeons of Demonheim. We had the full change of logo and everything. It was just as I was joining.
There's one thing I'd like to add to Old School Runescape, is dungeoneering. That's the only bit of content that page.
Oh crap, that's out next year.
I wish it was in there.
Self-destruct in 3.
Well, we have been pitching randomly generated raid dungeons, in fact, for a year now. Here's hoping.
Not far
Yeah.
off it.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
not in a week.
we're looking at trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run an idea just to get people's temperature in the room. Things that we've been toying with. It's running on the thing of the randomly generated raid dungeon, a PvP-based randomly generated dungeon where you can jump into someone's dungeon and steal their rewards and take it over. A
That
5-on-5.
Was something we talked about very early on with dungeoneering, was the concept of 2 start rooms.
Yeah.
And there being one objective at the end and the players fighting against each other to get
PvP unlocked.
Yeah,
you get respawn
but
back
yeah,
there.
we just felt it kind of got in the way of our core objectives. But I think
been
an
a couple
idea
of
like
years.
that, particularly with like the whole Darkscape vibe,
You could work it
I mean,
in.
with dungeoneering being a skill, I think it would be very tricky because it would get in the way of your leveling. But as a sort of competition between different teams, yeah.
It can be
that
a
definitely works.
dungeoneering mini game or something.
Ooh, dungeoneering, the minigame, another minigame.
2
Let's
words.
not- seriously,
let's move
you know,
on.
there are certain tones-
So I'm going
there
to
are
rewind this
certain
back
tones
to where we were
should not
discussing about
overcome.
NXT.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good chance, considering we have the original artist on the sofa, to talk about like the transition and the change of art from like original launch and classic through to what we're hoping to get out soon in NXT. How do you think it's gone?
Yeah, obviously we've come miles. RuneScape Classic was sprite based. The very first sprites I drew for RuneScape Classic, I actually drew on an Atari ST, which had a really reduced colour palette, and it was a right pain to actually port those graphics across to the PC version of the game. We did actually, very early on, I actually experimented with having 3D models for the player kit in RuneScape Classic, but I think Andrew put a restriction on it, so he said I had like 128 polygons to play
We
with or
didn't,
something.
yeah, exactly. The computers, because we were doing software 3D,
Yeah,
the computers at the time just were not fast enough to do full 3D models.
yes. So you had an 128 poly character. It's basically 1 cube for each part of your arm, 1 cube for the body. I mean, when you look at Minecraft,
don't look like Minecraft characters.
we would have gotten away with it maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's come an absolute mile. You know, you had RuneScape 2, you had RuneScape HD, now you've got the NXT project, and it's unbelievable.
I was watching the stream earlier, and you guys were talking about the Gower quest, and it got thinking. Like, I think you should do a piece of artwork for it. I think like it would be really cool to have original art in the Gower quest. I'll have to talk to Martin about that.
I mean, I did actually do some modelling and animation for some of my content later on because we had a real bottleneck in terms of graphics at one point.
did some stuff for Hunter,
I did
didn't
some,
you?
yeah, I did some of the modelling and mapping for Hunter myself and for some of the quests I did around then as well.
Haunted Mine, you
I
did a
wanted
little bit of
mine,
it. 'Cause
Some things never change. So yeah,
and I've actually done some mapping in Old School Runescape recently as well.
Yeah, so
It's a lot more.
going back to your roots.
Jack of all trades.
and one of the things with NXT that I think is really quite amazing is, I mean, loads of the players remember a picture. Somebody did an art picture of Catherby as it would look in a high, game thingy, looking nice and pretty. And I was sitting there, and when it came out years and years ago, sitting there going, I would love to play it like this. And then NXT just looks far better than that image was. So, you're like, okay.
Well, we
Did
didn't
well.
even have HD when that picture came out.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So,
I love seeing people's faces when they first experience the part where the the lowest level of detail that we have in NXT at the moment is the highest level of detail that exists in Java. So you start up the game, and it looks, it does. We've gone as far as we can to make sure it still feels like RuneScape. So when you dial everything back, it just looks like the game. And then you just go, and I'm going to press this button over here, and the fog just goes, and suddenly the world's opened up, and then all the lighting's coming in, and you see the shadows starting to sweep around as the sun's coming to position. It's a night and day, but it's the same game. I can't wait to see how people respond.
It's a weird thing, like the fact that you can stand on top of Lumbridge Castle and you can look over to Al Kharid, and that's just weird. Like it's like that kind of like theme park design that I always talk about, where it's like there's just a fence that separates lush grasslands and jungle and like desolate forest.
You've got Lumbridge Swamp, and then you've got the desert, and then you've got the Mauritania Swamp. It's like, what's this bit?
When I originally designed the world, it didn't matter.
No,
These things were next to each other because you walk a few spaces you can't see behind you anyway.
But, so we worry about it, but actually it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it's a game, and like people accept the fact that a game world and a fantasy game world can exist like that. But it is the kind of thing that artists get very stressed out about.
White Wolf Mountain does look very small.
Yes,
Yes,
it
White Wolf
does.
Mountain's tiny.
We may need to scale.
It's like this White Wolf Hill Mountain.
Yeah, it's like the Gog Magog Hills. These aren't
White
hills.
Wolf Mountain.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, what's the most surprising thing that's happened to the game since in the past 15 years for you guys? Like the thing, like us seeing NXT and seeing like that change in the world, and actually, even though we push it back, seeing those differences close to each other is, surprising and useful. Do you see anything else happen to you in the past 15 years in that way?
One thing which sort of caught me by surprise, RuneScape's got the very slow server cycles, only 100 per minute, so it's always seemed like a very laid-back, relaxed game. And then you look at the PvP players, and they managed to play it as a Twitch-based game. It's trying to get as many actions in that 100th of a minute as possible, sort of toggling your players on and off and eating and stuff to absolutely optimise your gameplay. And somehow they've turned RuneScape into a Twitch-based game, and I
Emergent
certainly
gameplay,
didn't
nice
expect
work.
that. Pardon?
Yeah, emergent gameplay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, emergent gameplay. I love emergent gameplay. Well, some of it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the only surprise.
Twitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So RuneScape, we never sold RuneScape on its graphical qualities. Now, that is something that obviously we can change now with NXT, but even then, you're comparing RuneScape to the games you're playing on your consoles or whatever. It's never really going to compete from a graphical perspective. And the fact that people watch other people playing RuneScape is just, I'm amazed by it, absolutely amazed by it. Particularly the fact that there are even more people watching Old School Runescape on Twitch. And that is, let's be honest, even less graphically impressive, right? I mean, or even like, I expect there's people going to be twitching Classic, which does look like a CFAX game. Like, it's like the kind of glorious colours and everything like that. And you're like, there's going to be people twitching on that and people watching it. Thousands of people watching, people playing Classic. That's weird. And like, that's just very, very surprising. I never thought that would happen.
Yeah, I suppose, when you got people like, Boaty, who is our big streamer, he was the #1 streamer on Twitch than anybody else at that time. He was, more people were watching him stream than people were playing Fallout 4, than people watching Call of Duty 3. Just after Star Wars Battlegrounds came out. It was not Battlegrounds, the other one, Star Wars Battlefield thing came out. Battlefront, Battle something, Star Wars Battle something.
Battle World.
I'm trying to remember Star Wars Battlegrounds. That was a great game. But yeah, that was they were watching our game, not anything else, not all these big super $200 million
I think
things
the benefit
going on.
you have is that it's just the pure simplicity of what you're looking at. There's no clutter, there's nothing in your way. You're focused on what the game is, and it represents itself so well.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about player generated stuff, the machinima stuff as well is also very amazing what they can sort of come up with on a very basic looking stuff to exact. The inventive way they use the different objects and different things in the game to tell the stories they want to tell, and you're like, well, that's clever way of telling that story.
What was the one last year, the feature-length one?
Oh,
Thrones of Gillian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
The amount of time some of those things must take to make is.
Yeah.
Or even RS music videos.
Yeah,
like somebody did the Lumberjack song beautifully.
The Proclaimers.
Oh yeah.
And do you remember that? Everyone in the office was watching it. That was one of the first ones we saw.
That was
Well,
that was
Land Down Under
Like
was.
500 miles.
Yeah.
Land Down Under was an early
Land Down
one.
Yeah.
And I remember, and then it got to the point where there was so many RuneScape music videos. We used to play a game where we'd say, come up with a song, nothing too obscure, but something reasonably, and we'll look on YouTube and see if there's a music video. And about 90% of the time there was, and it was just like, what?
I have not tried this. I'm going to have to go upstairs and give it a shot.
It's a great game.
Should I not give this a shot?
No, you can totally give it a shot. There's some very, very weird songs out there. I warn you.
Oh dear.
And people not only have taken the song and made a music video of it in RuneScape, but also people have taken the song and changed the lyrics to make it work with RuneScape. Like, it's it's awesome.
I don't think this is a world I'm ready to go into.
I was going to say, I like the way that Mark said it's weird, and then who wrote the stuff for Last Christmas?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was the
That
Christmas
was me.
video.
That was a Christmas video where he rewrote the lyrics to RuneScape.
Oh, that one.
That was Fairy Tale in New York.
Our
Yeah.
kids keep wanting
Yeah,
to
we had a lot of
play.
fun with that. I really had to twist his arm to get him to sing on that.
I did like
Yes.
your Bring Me Back to Port one that you did.
Well,
yeah.
that was
Yeah.
me
You should
and
definitely post that in the comments.
me and Jane wrote that one. Mostly Jane. That was a lot of fun.
We'll find out. We'll put it up.
Yeah,
If people
that
haven't experienced the port song, then
Yeah,
they
that-
need to experience it.
That was a good one. Yeah. Any excuse to dress up. And actually, talk about Machinima. What about like the cosplay stuff? I mean, that is also pretty mental when people have like gone to that length to represent one of your characters.
So we this like last RuneFest, the Raptor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
upstairs now,
He is. Yeah. He
including
is.
the torso of
Yeah.
the arm.
I did say you've got to bring that in the office, and he did. So
yeah.
apparently, he had to bring it down on the train, which I think
Oh my
would have
god! I
made a
hope you
video.
wore it.
Should hang that mace above people's desks.
Oh,
if they're not behaving.
Huge. Nobody misbehaves. Everybody does what they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right.
So I
it's
still find what I find most surprising is that 15 years old, he's still going strong, is still doing amazing, and we've still got lots of stories to tell.
Actually, so how aware is everybody of what we've got planned for the next year?
Very.
Very.
What you said at RuneFest.
RuneFest. Good. Oh, that's fair. You guys have a good structure of what you got planned.
Yes, I know what we've
You
got
have a
planned this
solid
year.
idea for
We
it.
announced quite a few things at RuneFest.
Yeah.
Starting this Thursday with Zaya.
Good plug. Well done.
I'm really looking forward to reworking mining and smithing.
So we got Zaya.
That's a
Smithing.
killer.
What else
That.
is?
Invention's obviously a big one.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be fun. That's so we got Zaya hitting
Thursday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thursday.
It's looking
Which is gonna
absolutely
be
amazing.
awesome. And then we've got a couple of weeks later, we've got Invention hitting. So it's
And we've
gonna
got Jad 2 coming quick on the heels of that.
and then we got the Nomads quest coming out. We can do. Do you want to do tennis? Really?
We've got to
So-
remember it now. And then I think
Oh.
after that, we're looking at this. This will all change, by
Yeah.
the way. We've got a meeting next week where everything's going to
Easy,
change.
lads. Easy.
Easy.
So
So let's not give away all of the.
we've got clans after that.
I don't know if I can keep going on what we've got. I know what we have.
Yeah.
We've got Monkey Madness 2. That's the other big thing we got
That's gonna be
the first
awesome.
half of
Are
this
you
year,
writing
so-
that, Ash?
No.
Oh,
I can only go if I
Please.
shuffle things from now on.
You'd love to be, sir.
I miss Ash quests
I do.
a lot.
I think it will be. I mean, the way it will work, I can see Monkey Madness 2 working is we'll have somebody who's almost the vision creator for it. The way we develop is we choose the person in the team who's most passionate about that bit of content to lead that project, because that's how we get the best content from
It's
out
worked
of the
really
game.
well for you guys.
Exactly, and so whoever's going to be the most passionate about that will lead that. Ash will have a huge amount of input into it because he is Ash, and
I
he
don't have
just,
my fingers on most bits of code going through this
Yes.
system, but if the design ultimately comes from, say, Mod Archie, Mod Kieran, the people who did the RuneFest presentation about it, that's cool too.
yeah. So everybody will have their input into it to add to make sure that everybody feels encompassed in this piece of content. They feel as if it is something that we've created as a team and we can own as individuals within that team, so that when it finally goes out and the players play it and we see what the players think about it, we can feel proud that.
Are you going to
we've done
introduce a
something
new
nice.
kind of monkey?
I think we are actually.
I think you need
Yeah.
to. Yeah, for sure.
Also, Monkey Madness was iconic in that it was the first time you got to transmogrify into another race and wander around in a new form freely, not just the Castle Wars waiting room stunt we've got, but just do the quest as a monkey. And we need another paradigm shifting twist like that.
but we've got a new monkey coming out on Thursday. Don't we? Yeah.
Could you give could you give a monkey the transmog device so it turned into a human?
Oh, wow.
Well, the nature of Old School means that there's a lot of mileage in trying to turn you into, say, a gnome child.
No, well, obviously, yeah.
Who wrote the original gnome child dialogue?
So you could go back in time, and then you could become a gnome child who would grow up to be the gnome glider pilot that then takes you to Monkey Island.
I like where you're going with
Yeah,
this.
nice.
Yeah, unfortunately, everything I know the story.
And this is how we create content. We're watching it happen live.
Has somebody managed to decipher the code from Monkey Madness 1? Because I know it was a bit of a convoluted code originally. But
Yes, it is, but I'm not.
there's a good
saying-
quest he managed to do, but it was
Yeah.
when everybody looked at the code, they were like, "What has this person done behind it?"
I remember him also saying to me around that time that I'd probably never get to be a content developer because I hadn't, studied programming.
Yeah,
Oh, things
I
have
was told I'd
changed.
never get to design because I didn't know how to code either. That was in my second month. There we go.
I was
Yeah.
Prove
supported
these
all the way
people
through
wrong.
my career, so yeah. we go.
No, I tried for content developer and they wouldn't have me. So I tried again later and they had me. So.
It's true.
I came from QA.
Well, so many of
So-
us came
so
from
did I,
QA,
so did
right?
I.
We all
QA.
came from QA. Those of us that didn't found the company.
We did our own QA.
Which case
Yeah,
you
that's
came
right.
from.
We did quite a bit
We've
QA.
all done QA and we've all done a bit of customer
I
support.
think
and
it's
business
really
support.
good to have done
Yeah, I
QA.
did customer support as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It's funny, my ambition at uni was to finish and then get into the customer support team at Jagex and work on the forums with Mod Adam, because I'd been a forum mod around that time as a player, and I just wanted to be a forum curator for Jagex. I got my wish, but then I got promoted to QA. Everyone goes to
Oh.
QA.
Fill the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do you think it's going to be? It's been 15 years. We've got many, many more years to go. What curveball will happen in 10 years' time?
Moddable RuneScape.
Mod of all RuneScape.
Moddable.
Oh, moddable
So players
RuneScape.
can mod the game that they play.
Oh.
Moddable servers.
On the fly live alteration of servers.
Sending that email now, by the way.
I'm just gonna
Anybody else
try-
colours that idea?
For me, it's about using the RuneScape world in other sorts of games. I think that's something that we've always talked about for a long time. I mean, RuneScape is an amazing thing, and I'd really like to be able to see that world being used in different ways.
So the future is more about like keeping their core of RuneScape strong, and then like looking for ways that we can expand it even further
Yep.
in other ways.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of really cool things that I would like to explore within RuneScape that wouldn't necessarily be right for the PC game, and it would be really interesting to explore them in different
It's
sorts
like
of
the most
games.
beautiful segue I've ever heard.
Is it?
I mean, so are you playing anything at the moment that kind of
Well,
takes a portion of
Do you know what? That
RuneScape?
wasn't supposed to be
so
a
it's-
plug. Genuinely.
It's a game that kind of isn't quite RuneScape, but is in the RuneScape world.
Well, yeah,
Pinball.
it's a weird thing. Yeah, and you
Kind
know,
of a
like
legendary game.
yeah, like Paul and I, we've played a lot of CCGs and things like that in the
Yeah.
past, and
You
it'd
could
be
do-
really
you could-
cool.
You could do a card game. or something,
Yeah, you could
maybe.
sort of explore that kind of idea. Maybe like you could sort of do quests by playing
Chronicle
cards.
the books.
Yeah, like a kind of chronicle and playing
Yeah,
on
you should definitely
pages.
put
And,
like the RuneScape sort of signature heroes. And things like
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And maybe you could put a bit of PvP element in there as well, and fight against other people.
Right,
at the
we've
same
done.
time.
We've definitely stretched this as far as it can go. Yeah,
I didn't say that as a plug. Genuinely,
that
like,
was
for me. Chronicle is just the beginning of exploring those kind of possibilities.
yeah.
that. Because I know I'm not going to be here, and just to give you guys a headache, I'm going to say virtual reality RuneScape.
Well,
Did you talk to anyone
enough.
upstairs?
I'll buy that.
You're a RuneFest.
Indeed, but they told me that was just a tech demo.
that
That's
was
what
that
it
was a
Just
tech
the
demo.
tech demo.
Yeah,
It was very good though.
yeah. We've been playing
It
around. with
made
some
me
cool
want
stuff, haven't
virtual
we?
reality RuneScape.
We've
Let's
done
put it that way.
We've
Yeah.
done a couple of things. We've looked at a couple of places, and I think that's about. I'm like the king of the most
Vague.
indescript and vague notions
vague,
of what's
yeah.
happening. There's a thing happening.
We'll
We've
change
got
your
an
name to
idea.
Mod Vague.
Mod vague. We're doing a thing at some time. Maybe it might do some stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's positive enough, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
VR RuneScape experience in a slightly different way.
It's going to love performing that dance emote in VR.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Yep.
What? You have to match the emote.
That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Okay, like we're definitely running out of time, and this is the worst question ever. Favorite RuneScape mode?
The dance one.
No, we're not doing that. We'll knock over the table.
I really like the one where you turn into a crab and you go sideways and your little. I really like that. A big fan of that.
Anybody got anything? It's either
It's
the
got to be.
dance-
It's got to be the dance.
I like the
Dance.
snowman dance emote.
The snowman
which was
dance.
Or the hand that comes out and grabs the
the fur.
grabs at you
Yeah.
from the,
I love
from
the
the
robot
Halloween one.
dance.
Yes.
From the war suit. The
The dwarven war suit.
yeah, his
Yeah.
robot dance is quite nice. Cool. Well, it's kind
What's your
of.
favourite one, Ash?
The dance emote.
The classic.
I realised the
proper
moment I
dance.
asked the question, it's just going to be like dance, 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 dance,
Yes.
dance, dance,
Yeah.
dance, dance. Right? Okay, it's the dance mode. I think. Well, that's been quite some time. Does anybody have anything else they want to reminisce about from the past 15 years? We've kind
Here
of
all night,
exhausted
couldn't we?
everything. Yeah. Well, I think in that case, thank you very much to everybody for joining me on the couch. Thank you to everybody who's been watching, and yeah, see you for another 15 years.
Quite.
Bye.
Bye.